Welcome to the May Garden Tour. So we're starting in a different spot today because there's been some pretty big changes. That's me. Um, the bed was originally right there, but I decided to extend it out to here and all the way over there. So what I did was I removed the grass and then I put down some black earth and then some manure because the soil is clay and stays pretty wet just to raise the plants up. And then I planted and then put mulch down. It's mostly native plants, but there are some that aren't native, but we'll go through each of them one by one. So if we start over here, you can see the swamp milkweed. It's barely starting to break dormancy, and this is the wettest spot, which is why I put it over here. Then right here in this corner, these are the original plants. So there's some ajuga that's getting ready to bloom, so you can see the flower buds starting to come out. There's one of the regular florist hydrangeas. Right here is a sensation lilac plant. Then right here is some sedum. These are two sedums. One of them is variegated, one of them isn't. And then right here is a catmint plant. And then here's another sedum, which is the same as this one. I think it has aphids, so hopefully the ladybugs come and take care of that, but if not, we'll just have to hose it down or something. Okay, so here's where it gets into more native stuff. So right here is some gray-headed coneflower, and then there's some wild bergamot that I just planted today. And then here's the wild bergamot plant that was here before. And then right here is some purple coneflower. Then right over here is the other half of that gray-headed coneflower plant because I divided it. And then right here is an Ephophia. I don't know if this one is going to live or not, but the interior is still green, so hopefully it survives. Then right here is some black-eyed Susans that are tough as rocks, so nothing's really going to happen to those. Then right here is an Asiatic lily. So then further over, there is some catmint. Here is one that I propagated from cuttings last year, and it's pretty big. This is about the size that the one that I put in the front was last year. So it's doing really well, really healthy. Then there's the other wild bergamot. So this is Monarda didyma. The other one is Monarda fistulosa. Then nothing over there. Then right here is some smooth aster, and right here is some Penstemon digitalis. There's another Penstemon hirsutus in the front. Then here's more of that Kniphofia, and then in the back you can see this is some stiff goldenrod. That's really wilty. I don't know if it's gonna live or not, but hopefully it does. But I planted some seeds, so if these fail, I can just replace them with those. And right here is some more black-eyed Susans, and then here is some more purple coneflower. Then, as we get to the edge of this, we have this mystery native plant. I don't know what this one is. I got it from Native Plants in Claremont, and it didn't have a label, and I just transplanted it, so it's kind of wilty, but it'll be interesting to see what that is. Then right there is some smooth aster again, and more of that Kniphofia. Right here is a pink salvia plant, and right here that I transplanted today as well, some pearly everlasting. And finally, in the very back is some prairie smoke that I planted today, which has some really interesting flowers. I divided the plant that I got, so the other clumps in the front have flowers on them. So then, if we move over, This is exciting. So these are some of the native seeds I planted, and some of them are finally starting to sprout. So I don't know what any of them are, except for the fact that this clump right here is butterfly weed, but that's all I know. So I'm gonna have to wait and see how big these plants get bigger before I figure out what they are. So now I'm gonna take you guys to the front. Okay, so now we're in the front yard where things are looking a little different than they were last month. I didn't talk about this in the beginning, but there was a lot of, the weather was really tumultuous during April. There was some snow. There's some warm weather. I'll put some photos up on the screen. But if we start in the pot with the fig tree, you can see that the chives and the thyme look really healthy. They're starting to grow. Hopefully they bloom this year, but if not, that's fine. And then finally, the fig tree is starting to break dormancy, so you can see the little leaves starting to come out of the buds. I saw one that was really far along. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, so it kind of just looks like a miniature version of what the leaves look like. So then if we go to the usual starting place, you can see the hens and chicks are kind of being swallowed up by the catmint. So I think I'm going to move them to another spot where they'll get more sun, because even though it is really hot and dry here and they thrive, during the growing season they tend to get covered up by the daylilies and the catmint. So right here is one of the daylily plants. It's coming back bigger than it was last year. I think this is going to be the last year that I grow these daylilies. Maybe I'll keep them because they do have nice grassy foliage, but I planted some Coreopsis from seed, which is a native plant that kind of looks like them but will attract more pollinators. And then here's the catmint plant. That is Beast. It's eating this part of the garden, so I think I'm gonna have to move. I think I'm gonna move this phlox over to in here where there's some empty space, but it's looking really healthy. And then right here is the phlox that I was worried wasn't gonna come back, but it is coming back really strong. One thing I did not foresee about the catmint is that it likes to self-seed a lot, which I didn't know. So I'm going to be pulling catmint seedlings for a little bit. And then right here, the quickfire hydrangea that I planted last year is breaking dormancy. It looks really healthy. Pretty much all the stems survived. And it'll be fun to see it bloom again this year because it has really pretty flowers. Down here you can see the dragon's blood sedum is growing. I tried propagating it, so I just took some different sections and stuck them in the soil. They should keep growing, but if they don't, I need to figure out a way to divide these clumps because I really like this plant, especially in the winter and fall. And I want to make more of it. And then right here is some bellflower that you can see. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but these tiny, yeah, you can't see it on camera, but the tiny buds are starting to form, so that'll be blooming in a couple weeks. And then here's the Kniphofia. It looks okay, like it's grown since I cut it back, and hopefully like all this, maybe I'll go through one more time and pull out all the dead. But this should be blooming like not like too long from now, because this one tends to bloom a bit earlier. There's more of that bellflower right here, and then here's some more of those same lilies that are in the backyard. Then here's the Penstemon hirsuta, so the other penstemon I was talking about, that's getting ready to bloom, so you can see the stalks are starting to elongate. And I thought you could divide this one, but you can't. It's like a sub-shrub kind of, so they're all kind of attached at one woody point. So I need to figure out how to divide it so I can make more, because I really like this plant. Right here is a Sarah Bernhardt peony. This is going to be the second year in a row that it didn't bloom, which is fine. Like it has pretty foliage, but I hope it blooms soon. Yeah. Then right here you can see, here's some more of that salvia. I think the variety is New Dimensions Pink, if I'm not mistaken. And then here's a tulip that's blooming, the one singular tulip that the rabbits didn't eat. But I like it. It's small, it's cheery. Yeah. The hyacinths are nearing the end of their bloom, so you can see like the purple ones, or pink ones rather, already starting to fade, and they're making seeds. So I think I'm gonna cut off the dead bloom stalks just so it can focus on saving its energy for next year's bloom. And these ones, the mystery colored ones, ended up blooming white, which was really nice. They started out as yellow, and then they slowly transitioned to a white color. So right here, the bearded iris, the beast, that was one singular fan. So like one of these, like 2 years ago, is now also eating the garden. But I really like the foliage texture of this one, even though it isn't native. And it has nice flowers, really big ones. I think it has the flowers like the same size as the hydrangea, which is pretty big. And then right here is some purple coneflower. This is the purple coneflower that I got from in the front. And then this plant looks really sad right now, but here's the prairie smoke that I planted today. So just to get an idea what the flowers look like, the stalks would be standing up, and this is what the blooms look like. And then later, after they're pollinated by bumblebees, which are the only insect that can climb inside and pollinate them, they get these wispy seed heads that look kind of like smoke, like pink smoke, and that's where it gets its name from. But it is a really pretty plant. I really like the way like the flowers nod, so like it would be standing up like this, and the flowers like nod in the wind, and it's just a really like nice like color palette. Like it's just a nice green and this nice pink. Then over here is a different sedum that's looking pretty healthy, and then right here is more of those lilies. Here's a bigger planting of those daylilies that I'm like still contemplating on whether or not I'm gonna keep or remove. And then right here is the endless summer hydrangea. It looked better like when it just started leafing out, but I think I need to put some fertilizer on it because it doesn't look too hot. Then right here are some daffodils that didn't bloom again, but maybe they'll bloom next year. And then the blanket flower, which I was worried did not survive the winter, is finally starting to poke up out of the ground, which is really good. And it's a much larger plant than it was last year. Last year it was only one of these, but it's proliferated, which is nice. Then here's another one of those prairie smoke plants, so maybe in better lighting. Yeah, that's what the flowers look like. They're really pretty. And they're all in clumps of 3, so I think the scientific name is Geum triflorum, so I guess that's the reason why it gets its name, because triflorum is 3 flowers. The red columbine is getting ready to bloom. It has really pretty leaves, and you can see the leaf stalks rising above the plant. So here's like the native woodland garden again. I've added some new plants, so these 3 were here last year, but I'll go over the ones that are new. So the Solomon seal looks really good. It's kind of light green. I don't know if it's like malnourished or if it is it just looks like this before it leaves out. And you can see there's a tiny singular pair of buds. But like in a normal plant, all like in between all the leaves would be pairs of buds. The wild geranium also looks pretty good. It's starting to spread around, and you can see there's a set of flower buds. There's 2 sets actually, so there's 2 sets of flower buds. And then the wild ginger has tripled So last year there was 1 pair of leaves, and this year there's 3, which is nice. And that's what the flowers look like, kind of alien-esque. So if I go around to the other side, some of the plants I didn't talk about are the black-eyed Susan, which is putting out new growth finally, which is nice. Then the heuchera with green leaves and red flowers looks really healthy. I'm just hoping the leaves grow bigger because the leaves are really pretty. Then over here you can see the sedum that I was talking about that I got the plants in the back from. Then right there is a lupin, which is also new since last time. The foliage holds water in a really interesting way, like kind of in little beads. But the rabbits have kind of been eating it, which I can't really do anything about that. Then there is a heuchera, or coral bells, that's purple. I think the variety is, Pallas purple. Then here's a hosta that I'm also debating on whether or not I'll keep. And then finally is some lavender, which is coming back really strong. And one of the new plants that I was talking about in the back is that wild strawberry right there, which is also new. So that sums up everything for the May garden tour. There's starting to be more native plants, like little by little, like the prairie smoke. So hopefully when it perks up, it'll look really nice. And so that concludes the May garden tour. Things will look very different by next time because the irises will be blooming, the columbine will be blooming, the fig will have leafed out, the Kniphofia will probably be blooming, but yeah, that wraps it up. So thanks for watching.